everyone. I'm Kimberly Rusnak. I'm the Executive Director of the Montgomery County Children's Opportunity Alliance. I'm so excited to be here tonight and to convene this amazing group of people who are also passionate about supporting early care and education in our community. One other small housekeeping note, if you go to the top of right corner of your Zoom and select the setting side-by-side speaker, this will hopefully help you all to have a better viewing experience on the Zoom this evening. So tonight I will be your co-moderator, and I'm joined by Tiffany Jones, an amazing family child care educator and board chair for the Children's Opportunity Alliance. So I'll turn it to you, Tiffany.
Thank you, Kimberly, for the introduction. Supporting educators, children, and families has always been at the heart of my work, and opportunities like this, where we bring together lived experience, advocacy, and community voice, are what move our work forward. What a week this has been. We really wish that we could have been in person tonight, but we're so grateful to all of our speakers and for you participants for making the transition to a virtual event with us tonight. What an incredible turnout. We have so many wonderful leaders in this Zoom and so many educators here tonight. Also, I want to say a special thank you to the Children's Opportunity Alliance board members that are also here tonight.
Great. We're also joined by some elected officials here in Montgomery County. So we've got, I see Council Member Shevra Evans, Kate Stewart, feel free to wave. We've got Warren Hansen from Andrew Friedson's office, Caroline Davenport from Councilmember Ludke's office. So thank you all for being here. We also have Suzanne from Councilmember Katz's office. So thank you all for being here. We're also pleased we've got representatives from the county's Early Care and Education Initiative, which includes the Department of Health and Human Services, Montgomery County Public Schools, and Montgomery College, all here tonight. I see in the chat, we've also got Christina from Councilmember Jawando's office. So glad to have you guys here as well. We also have leaders from other systems partners. We've got the Commission on Child Care here this evening, members from Montgomery Moving Forward, and from all our local educator associations. So thank you all for being here. We have a great agenda set out for you tonight. After we hear opening remarks from Dr. Ann Kadamian and the County Executive, Mark Elrich, we'll hear from a few of the educators who helped to plan tonight's event. We also have 5 incredible storytellers tonight who will share their stories with you. And then we'll engage in some conversation with a panel of council members. At the end of the evening, we'll open up the mics to allow the audience to add your stories and questions into the conversation as well. So before we begin, we'd like to play a short video about the work that we are doing to help show the bigger picture surrounding this effort.
One powerful way to set kids. Imagine if there were one powerful way to set kids up for lifelong success, save families thousands of dollars every year, build a stronger workforce, and grow our local economy. We can do all of this by creating a strong, connected, and accessible early care and education system. One that works seamlessly to support young children and adults who care for them here in Montgomery County, Maryland. Quality early care and education, often called ECE, is the foundation for future learning. With more than 70,000 young children ages 5 and under in our county, our shared aim is to make ECE equitable, affordable, and available to all. But right now, our ECE system is complex. Many families struggle to understand what's available or where to start. Inequitable. There are far more children than available ECE seats, especially for infants, toddlers, children with special needs, and in public pre-K. Unaffordable. Families are spending over a quarter of their income on childcare. At the same time, many in the ECE workforce earn less than a living wage. At the Children's Opportunity Alliance, we're bringing together families and partners throughout the community to build an ECE system that works for everyone. What could that look like? Let's take a closer look. All families have access to affordable childcare nearby. With reliable care, parents and families can grow their careers. Consistent employment means fewer people need public assistance, and that strengthens our local economy, creating a more vibrant Montgomery County. A child receives stable, nurturing care from birth through age 5, when nearly 90% of brain development happens. They enter kindergarten ready to thrive, and children and families are on a path for lifelong success. That means fewer costly interventions per child and more resources to invest in other parts of the system. It also ensures our hardworking educators are valued and supported. It's time to give Montgomery County kids and families the support they deserve. To learn more and show your support, visit mocochildren.org.
At the Children's Opportunity Alliance, we connect our community to build a more equitable, accessible, high quality, and sustainable early childhood system that narrows disparities and puts all young children on a path to reach their highest potential. Through our common agenda planning process, we know that to bring about the changes we want to see, we need to advance a set of interconnected strategies. Expand affordable access to high-quality early care and education programs by reducing the costs and removing barriers for families. Engage with families about how to ensure their children are thriving and how to navigate and access early childhood resources. Recognize and advance the early care and education workforce to recruit, retain, and expand the number of high-quality educators. Advocate for systems changes and new public and private funding for the early childhood system to reduce costs for families, raise wages and sustainability for the workforce, and make it easier for parents and educators to access support. All 4 of these strategies are critical to our success, but tonight we're here to elevate the 3rd strategy, to recognize and advance the early care and education workforce. One of our core organizational values is justice, to prioritize the perspectives of those closest to the issues we aim to address, who have been historically oppressed and kept furthest from opportunity to realize a more just early childhood system. One of our key roles is as a convener, and this evening we are intentionally bringing together partners and players in the early care and education system that are not often in the same room with each other. We believe strongly in the idea that nothing about us without us. And as an educator on the board of the Children's Opportunity Alliance, we knew it was time to lift up the voices of educators themselves to share our experiences and our ideas. If we had been at the universities at Shady Grove tonight as planned, this next speaker would have kicked us off with a welcome. We're aiming to keep tonight's agenda as similar as we can to what we had planned. So let's start with an amazing educator, Dr. Ann Kadamian, with a welcome from the universities at Shady Grove.
Thank you so much, Tiffany and Kimberly. What a incredible opportunity we have in our county to have the Children's Opportunity Alliance leading us in this effort, and all of the partners who come along to build a strong ecosystem for early care and education. I wish we were in a meeting in person tonight, this evening at the universities at Shady Grove, but I'm really happy to join you. I just want to share a little, by way of welcome, a little bit of reflection on what's happening at the universities at Shady Grove and just education more generally. Early learning, we all know, is the foundation to all learning, from K through 12 to higher ed, to professional development, apprenticeships and training, to curiosity and to creativity and to tackling the challenges of our time. We need all children to be supported from the outset, with early learning to be the leaders and the problem solvers and the doers of tomorrow. At USG, we're very proud to partner with academic degree programs to help develop and support educators of today and the future. The students in our programs at USG have incredible, powerful stories that inspire and motivate them to be educators. Our students in these programs are predominantly from Montgomery County, growing up in the early care centers of the community and the classrooms of MCPS. with aspirations and pride of becoming a teacher in the community where they grew up, often wanting to support the students who share their own very similarly challenging life experiences and the barriers that they faced as students as well. We're very proud at USG to be part of an educational ecosystem to support future teachers, but we also want to be part of an ecosystem where we're working every day to improve the support we can provide our staff, our students, and our faculty in their work at USG. We are in the very early process now of exploring how we can take a bigger step towards ensuring affordable, accessible, and quality childcare as an important part of our employees and our students and our faculty's success as learners, teachers, and community members. We can't imagine a better set of partners to explore that possibility and hopefully deliver on it as well. So I wish you all a very successful and exciting conversation tonight that leads to great outcomes, stronger partnerships, and again, really leaning into and building great early care and education opportunities for all students. Thank you so much for the opportunity to join you tonight, and I hope it's a great session.
Great. Thank you, excuse me. Thank you, Dr. Kadamian, for that introduction. So we're going to move forward on to the next part. I do want to say thank you to some other council members who have joined us. Councilmember Fanny Gonzalez, Council President, excuse me, Fanny Gonzalez is here, as well as Councilmember Ludke and individuals from Councilmember Sales' office. So it means a lot for us to have all of this support. Tiffany, I'll turn it to you and you can go through to the setting the stage.
Okay. Next, I'm going to invite in 3 members of our planning committee. Montgomery County is fortunate to have a network of educator associations that support early childhood educators across the settings and spaces that they work. These associations came together to plan tonight's event. So I want to take a moment to acknowledge the incredible contributions the team made. We're going to invite Rosanna Espinoza Thorndal, Alicia Cross, and Tracy Clay from our associations to share why we're here tonight.
Good evening. Buenas noches a todos. Thank you for being here, for showing up, for listening, and for making a space for the voice of early childhood educators. Before we begin, we want to start with something simple but powerful. We are educators. Somos educadores. We teach. We plan. We assess. We build relationships. We create safe, nurturing environment where children learn how to explore, communicate, problem solve, and below. What we do every day is education, even if it doesn't always get recognized that ways. When people hear early childhood, they sometimes think of babysitting or just watching kids, but those of us is in the field know the truth. We are the brain builder, nurturing curiosity and development during the most critical years of a child's life. Research has established that learning begins in utero. For young children, all environments are learning environments. Children need more than just a safe place to
Rosanna, I'm so sorry. We can't see you all the way. Your camera is partially covered. Just wanted to let you know that.
Now we can see you.
Now we can see you.
Something
just
moved.
see you.
Ahora te
Okay.
vemos.
Ahora sí. Research has established that learning begins in utero. For young children, all environments are learning environments. Children need more than just a safe place to be a wide, departing world. They need relationship, rich learning, and consistent, skilled educator. We are laying the foundation of everything that comes next in school and in life. I think, Alicia?
And tonight, we're asking our community to recognize early childhood educators as what we truly are: professionals, educators, and essential workers. That recognition matters because early childhood educators are not just shaping children's lives. We are holding up Montgomery County's economy. We are the infrastructure that allows families and employers to function. The early childhood education workforce makes it possible for parents to go to work, to attend school, to serve our community as first responders, small business owners, and public servants. Without childcare, everything else would slow down. Tracy, you're muted.
Okay. Too often, the people doing this essential work struggle to make ends meet, themselves. The county recently invested in an early childhood education workforce compensation study, and it found that while Montgomery County has made important investments in early child education, educator compensation still falls short. Most educators earn wages far below what is needed for the economical self-sufficiency. 9 out of 10 earn less than the MCPS teachers. 1 in 5 are living below the federal poverty line. Similarly, 1 in 5 have to take on another employment to make ends meet. Educators face gaps in health insurance, and other benefits. Many can't even afford care for their own children while they work. The report makes many recommendations on how to address this crisis, from launching bonuses and stipends to creating salary scales, expanding professional pathways, and increasing access to benefits, such as in implementing scholarships for early care and educators to receive child care scholarships for their children, while this is also referred to as categorical eligibility.
Educators are also working in environment and business that are facing numerous multifaceted challenges right now, including threat from immigration and customs enforcement for themselves, their business, the family they serve, and their own family. Declining enrollment and higher than usual vacancy because of the enrollment freeze on the childcare scholarship and the loss of employment for family they serve. Continued workforce shortage post-pandemic, which lead to the educators who are there to be overworked and stretched too thin. The result of all these compounded issue is that many educators leave the field they love, not because they want to, but because they cannot afford to stay. And when the educator leave, children lose through caregivers, program closed classroom, family cannot access care. The ripple effects are real. 60% of centers had one or more classrooms closed due to a lack of staff. We don't have enough licensed seats as is to meet the demand. We need every available seat to be open.
That's why supporting the early childhood workforce can't be piecemeal or temporary. If we truly value educators, we need comprehensive supports that reflect the complexity and importance of the work. That means compensation that respects our education, experience, and responsibility. And it means benefits and working conditions that allow educators to thrive, not just survive. And it means coordinated strategies for recruitment and retention at the local and state level so the workforce is stable and sustainable. Supporting the workforce isn't about one program or one budget line. It's part of something bigger. It's part of a long-term systems transformation, a vision for an early childhood system that is equitable, accessible, high quality, and sustainable for the long run. A system where families can find and afford care, where children receive consistent, high quality early learning experiences, and where educators are valued as professionals, not treated as an afterthought. We also know that transformation doesn't happen overnight. There is no single policy or funding decision that fixes everything. We are at work together on a roadmap that requires incremental progress year after year.
And that's why we're here tonight. Stories matter, data matters, budgets matter. But stories are where change begins. Because when you hear directly from educators, from the people doing the work every day, it becomes harder to ignore the gap between how essential this work is and how it's currently supported. Tonight, you will hear stories about joy and pride, about the deep relationships educators built with their children and families. You'll also hear about challenges, about the stress, the instability, and what it costs when systems don't fully support the workforce that they rely on. We're not here to place blame. We want to recognize the hard work and the investments that have already been made in this space. And we're here to invite continued partnerships that will strengthen and propel the progress we need. Supporting early child educators is not a nice to have. It's an investment in children, in families, and in Montgomery County's future. So as you listen tonight, we invite you to listen with openness and with responsibility. Ask yourself, what would it look like if the systems truly matched our values? What would it mean to make decisions that center would be best for the children and the adults who care for them? What is the cost of not making these investments? We're grateful you're here. We're grateful you're listening. And we hope that these stories you hear tonight will move all of us to all of us one step closer to a system our children and families and educators deserve. Thank you.
Thank you, Rosanna, Alicia, and Tracy. You did an excellent job. I don't know about you, but I'm pretty inspired and ready to dive in. So we are here tonight to highlight educator stories. So without further ado, we have 5 storytellers here tonight. We're excited to have Umera Anwar, Deborah Broll, Joanna Lazaro, Silvio Moreno, and Karen Trabanino with us this evening. So Tiffany, I turn it to you.
I want to welcome up Umera first to share her story.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Umera Anwar. I am the owner and an educator at Miss Mimi's Family Childcare located in Gaithersburg. And what I hold most sacred to my heart are the young brains I helped develop between the ages of 0 to 5. These are the crucial years when all the learning and experiences matter, when a smile teaches trust, when a question sparks curiosity, when gentle guidance shapes a lifetime. I became an early childhood educator because I love going on a journey of brain development and meeting milestones with children. I get to witness their first words, their breakthrough moments, and that sparkle in their eyes when something explored. I remember when little Marcus finally built that block tower after weeks of trying. His joy became my joy. When Amara learned to share his favorite toy, I saw empathy being born. These aren't just milestones in the curriculum. This is human development unfolding right before my eyes, and I have the privilege of nurturing it, guiding it, and celebrating it. That journey with each child reminds me every day why this work matters. But here's the truth that breaks my heart. A critical problem facing early childhood educators in Maryland is the lack of a clearly defined infrastructure or educational pathways that support continued professional growth and thus enrollments. There are so many different institutes that offer courses of advancement, which confuses and frustrates many educators. Despite the Maryland State Department of Education's stated commitment to high quality early childhood education, there is no coherent system that enables educators to further their education, advance their credentials, or build sustainable careers. Without structured pathways and one coherent institutional support, early childhood educators are left without the tools necessary to succeed and remain in the profession. And if early childhood educators are not the experts in their own field of child development, then we are not doing justice to our young generation. But I am hopeful like others and believe in a better future, which is within our reach and is going through research phase right now. And it just needs a little push from our pushing body. We need to create real infrastructure that sets future early childhood educators up for success. I'm talking about a comprehensive educators registry and a lattice that becomes an actual resource, not just for early childhood educators, no matter family or center, but parents as well, that tracks our credentials, our professional development, career progression, as well as vacancies. $16 million, that's the investment in our children's future. That's the investment in educators like me who've dedicated our lives to their work. That's the investment Maryland claims to value, but has failed to make. These children deserve better. We, as early childhood educators, deserve better. And together, we're going to make sure it happens. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Umaira. Next up, we have Deborah. Please share your story with us.
Deborah, you're on
mute.
Sorry. Good evening. My name is Debbie Burrell. I'm the director at Pepper Tree Children's Center. I have been in early childhood education for 43 years, 41 of them being with Pepper Tree. Pepper Tree is a small nonprofit organization that serves 67 infants through school-age children. We accept the state scholarship program, Montgomery County Working Parents Assistance Program, and we also offer the Pre-K for All program through the Blueprint Grant. Our children are our legacy, and therefore, for us, it is important and a fundamental right that they receive quality education in centers where they are loved and cared for, which is why it is a great disservice to children not to have an opportunity to attend a quality childcare program that provides them a safe environment, educational support, and loving care. This is my purpose, and that's why even though I could have taught in the public school, I chose to go into childcare because I felt I could make a difference for young children and their families. Childcare starts at a child's education. We can give them a positive start to learning and socializing. Our center, as most of the childcare centers I know, are safe spaces and the best option for families and communities. In our center, children are taught positive ways to solve problems, to celebrate diversity, and create community. However, all of our work and dedication for our children is neither valued nor taken into account, since low compensation and benefits have impacted our workforce. In our center, I try to offer my staff good benefits. We provide PTO, health insurance, and we pay for 24 hours of continued training each year for each employee. But I cannot pay my staff what they deserve for all the hard work and dedication they do every day, and that is not fair. Another issue we face is the difficulty of hiring and retaining educators. It is very difficult to get qualified staff due to what we can offer for salary. I am fortunate to have 5 amazing teachers who have remained with me for 17 to 38 years. When I do get staff and help them get their education, they leave to go to the public school, and it's impossible for us to compete with the public schools. As if all the previous challenges weren't enough, when the state froze the child care subsidy program, several families and children were hurt. Parents could not afford quality child care, and children were left with younger siblings or in unlicensed facilities, putting the safety of our children at risk and depriving them of the right to education and loving and safe professional care that all children in this country, and more specifically in this state and county, deserve. This situation is the fault of legislators who have the power in their hands to remedy the change that the precarious situation they have put our communities in. My request for the county legislators is to make the following eligibility change to WPA. Serve children and families eligible for the Maryland Child Care Scholarship Program, but not enrolled due to the current freeze. Our financial request is a budget of $16 million in fiscal year 27, alongside the eligibility change shared before, in order to serve an additional 1,000 children with WPA subsidies. We as a community trust that you legislators will do the right thing and stand with our community, our families, and most importantly, our children. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Debbie. Next, we have Joanna.
Hello. And can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. Hello. Thank you to everyone who participated in putting this event together. My name is Joanna Lazaro, and I am an educator at Silver Spring Nursery School. My early career in early childhood education started when I moved to the DMV from Philadelphia after working as an out-of-school time teacher and as a therapeutic support staff, providing wraparound services to students that needed extra support in their classrooms. That cemented what I already knew, that I would work with young children in schools because of my own teacher, Senora Navarro, my kindergarten and first grade teacher in San Juan, Puerto Rico. She provided the much needed safety, and her classroom was the only consistent force in one of the hardest part of my youth. Sorry. After teaching for 5 years in DC, I got married, and my partner and I started a family. And although I loved paying it forward and teaching and being in my students and their families' lives, I chose to become a stay-at-home parent. And my partner and I saved up, and we thought we were financially stable, thanks to his, at the time, very stable government career. So when my second child was born, or around when he was around 6 months old, we came across Silver Spring Nursery School, and I fell in love. During the tour, I walked into the threes classroom, and I thought, wow, I would love to be in this space. I would love to work in this classroom. Now, 4.5 years later, I do. My older child, Casey, is 7, and she started in the threes, and she matriculated out of Silver Spring Nursery School. And now Jonah, that 6-month-old, is 5, and he comes to work with me every day. He stays in the threes classroom with me while we're setting up, and then one of his teachers comes to pick him up and take him to the playground where his 4 and 5's class starts. I get to kiss him goodbye, and then I turn around and I say hello to my 15 students and their families. Very quick. And I love the school. I love the community. I can't say enough about what this environment has done for my family and my life. And I can only work there. I can only have my son go there because of my partner's career. We are financially dependent on his income. And sadly, we're struggling. The plan to stay a unit might have to change. And if that happens, I'm going to have to leave Silver Spring Nursery School and find a higher paying job in order to support myself and my kids. Ooh, I did not think that was going to happen, people. Okay. Lastly, while my partner was furloughed, we were unable to afford Jonah's monthly tuition at Silver Spring Nursery School, and we had to request help from the school. And we also could not pay for Casey's before care so that I could get to that school on time through Kids Go at her elementary school. However, if all of us, if all early childhood educators working in licensed childcare programs were included in the Working Parents Assistance Program, this could have been avoided. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much for sharing your heart, Joanna. Next up, we have Sylvia. Share your story with us.
Hi, that was really beautiful, actually. And it's so ironic. You would think that I had connected with everyone with my story, but I promise I didn't talk to anybody. But it all sounds very similar. I'm so glad to be here. Good evening, everyone. My name is Sylvia. I'm a mother of five and an early childhood education professional with 22 years of experience managing both large for-profit and nonprofit childcare centers. My children, Andres, Isabella, Angelina, Leo, and Tony, grew up in the childcare centers I managed and completed their education in MCPS schools. Three have graduated from the University of Maryland, and two have recently begun their college journeys. I firmly believe that a major reason for my children's academic and life success is the high quality early education they receive beginning at age 2. Being a center director whose own children attended the program was not always easy. Morning drop-offs could be emotional because my children knew I was nearby. However, the teachers were so skilled, patient, and experienced that my children consistently settled in and thrived. As a working parent, I never worried, and that peace of mind is invaluable. This is the critical role of the early childhood workforce. Because of their dedication and professionalism, parents can pursue their chosen careers and contribute meaningfully to society. For this reason alone, early childhood educators deserve strong and sustained support from the county. One of the most pressing challenges facing early childhood educators is compensation, both pay and benefits. For many educators, the primary pathway to higher wages and professional advancement is earning a college degree. While some child care centers offer competitive salaries, benefits, and tuition assistance, these programs are the exception, not the norm. The reality is that child care centers operate on extremely tight margins. While tuition increases are sometimes possible, there is a limit before families are priced out of quality care altogether. The Maryland Child Care Scholarship Program had been a lifeline for families in need of affordable, high-quality care and a critical source of stability for child care programs. However, this program is currently frozen, creating a decline in enrollment and resources for centers working to retain qualified early childhood educators. I previously managed a small nonprofit child care center in Silver Spring that paid teachers well but could not afford to offer benefits. I now work at a large nonprofit where we recently lost two exceptional early childhood educators to MCPS. We just couldn't compete with the pay and benefits offered there. This is not an isolated issue, as you all have heard from the beginning of this meeting. It's an unsustainable workforce crisis. Recent county and state investments, including the EquiCare grant and the pre-K expansion program, are important steps in the right direction. These initiatives support higher compensation for qualified educators serving children ages 0 to 5. However, a key requirement for receiving increased pay is holding a degree. If we truly want to attract and retain the best educators for our youngest residents, we must also ensure that earning that degree is attainable. I strongly urge the county to closely examine higher education initiatives serving the early childhood workforce and to build in flexibility so that dedicated educators are not excluded due to a single unmet requirement. For example, the current requirement that educators be enrolled in a credential program to access the ECEI Pathway Scholarship at Montgomery College does serve as a barrier for some. Rather than an absolute requirement, this could be treated as a preference, expanding access while maintaining accountability. Investing in full scholarships for early childhood educators is not only equitable, it's a proven retention strategy. Additionally, the county should consider establishing an early childhood educator pay equity initiative similar to the model implemented in Washington, D.C. I can tell you that when that came out, it was all the talk amongst, I know my staff at the time. That was a pretty awesome initiative that was put there. Early childhood educators are the foundation of our entire workforce and a key reason our community thrives. It is time to support those who support us all, just as they supported me as I shared at the beginning of my story. Our youngest children and the professionals who care for them deserve nothing less. Thank you.
Thank you, Sylvia. Next up, we have Karen. Please share your story.
Hello, my name is Karen Travanino. I'm a proud mother of four boys under the age of 8, with my youngest being 1 year old. Alongside motherhood, I serve in several roles, including assistant director, teacher, coordinator, and many other roles at my mom's large family childcare located in Rockville. I'm also a board member of the Latino Childcare Association of Maryland and a part-time student at Montgomery College, where I'm pursuing a degree in early childhood and special education. I believe that meaningful change comes from hard work and commitment. That belief motivates me to take on these roles and to continue advocating for quality early childhood education. I'm deeply passionate about ensuring children have access to strong early learning experiences as they lay the foundation for lifelong success and better quality of life. This is why I became involved in early childhood education, not only to serve, to better understand and support my own children, but to advocate for all children in our society, especially those from immigrant and underserved households. Growing up, I was not exposed to early childhood education programs. And this remains the reality for many families today. Despite that, or perhaps because of it, I'm committed to fighting for those opportunities so that no child is denied access to quality childcare based on their zip code, family income, or background. Unfortunately, this is a common issue in our community. Many preschoolers enter childcare programs without having any prior exposure to early childhood education due to limited access and affordability. When they arrive, they often struggle with basic routines such as separating from caregivers, following simple instructions, using the bathroom independently, and interacting appropriately with other children. These challenges can lead to increased stress, frustration, and delays in social, emotional, and developmental growth. As a result, children begin their early learning experience already at a disadvantage, forcing them to spend valuable time catching up instead of building new skills. This lack of early access harms not only the children, but also families and educators, and reflects broader systemic issues tied to insufficient funding and support for early childhood programs at the county and state government levels. To address this issue, we need to make funding more accessible to communities that cannot afford childcare, while providing stronger support and fair compensation for early childhood educators who make this work possible. Childcare educators are among the most underpaid professionals, yet I strongly believe that we are the backbone of our communities. Without childcare, parents will not be able to go to work, which could directly impact family stability, quality of life, and local economy. This crisis is being made even worse by the current freeze on access to the Maryland Child Care Scholarship Program for new families, which has significantly reduced already limited access to affordable childcare. Until funding is restored and educators adequately support, families and children will continue to face these barriers to essential early learning opportunities. As such, tonight we're asking for $16 million in fiscal year 2027 to support these changes. This funding would allow us to serve an additional 1,000 children with the working parent assistance subsidies and ensure that all early childhood educators working in licensed programs are included regardless of family income. Maryland and society at large always likes to say that children are the future, but time again, those words do not match the action taken. The best investment we can make in our children is in our children and the people that educate them. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Karen.
Wow. Um, I'm a little speechless, but those were some great stories. Thank you all for sharing, for being vulnerable. We really appreciate it. We want to take a little deeper dive into these stories. So we have a question for each of you, and then we'll turn to a panel with council members. And I see we've been joined by the county executive, so we'll give him an opportunity to speak after that as well. But the first question I have is for you, Umera. Why do you feel that having a workforce registry or a career ladder or lattice is important and beneficial for early childhood educators?
Well, it will bring the entire education community together, which includes all professions related to education. Family childcare providers, centers, teachers, administrators, directors, community outreach programs, and many, many more. Many other states have them, and it makes the lives of educators as well as families so much easier because it is a one-stop shop for both sectors. Having a career ladder attached to it will make sure that our young professionals, my son, who's 20 years old, is also becoming an early childhood educator, and he needs a guidance to exactly which path to take, but we don't have one-stop shop for that. So we're like scrambling around. So I feel like this profession will have a clear path and can decide which path is suitable for best advancement. They will save time by having a clear pathway to follow and not repeat courses as well as money. So I feel this would, move us in the right direction. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you, Umera.
And the next question is for Debbie. You've been in this field for over 4 decades. How have things changed for families trying to afford childcare?
I think the biggest thing is cost has risen far faster than family income. Today, the cost for a preschool and infant is about $40,000 a year. And this is one of the largest expenses for a family. Sometimes it's more than their rent or their mortgage. The public and state county support has increased so that more families qualify for scholarships, but then you have the middle income families who still face high out-of-pocket costs. And the worst now, the state scholarship program is frozen, so we have several families who can't afford quality childcare. So we need to figure out a way that this continues and doesn't put all of these families on the side, that they can't be part of an educational and quality care for their children.
Thank you, Debbie.
So the next question we have is for Joanna. So I think as you were speaking in the chat, there were a lot of comments that, your situation is very similar to many other educators. If you had to leave the field for higher pay, what would that mean for the children and families that you serve? Or have you heard of other fellow educators who have left? And what does that mean for the sector?
Yeah, absolutely. There's another staff member at our school that is currently also a parent to a child that goes to that school. And they are also supported by their partner's government job. So I know I'm not alone in some of that. And I think what would be hardest for our school would be a lack of consistency in a teacher in that role. And I know that at our school, the particular role that I fill has had turnover rate for the last 3 years. So I know for a fact that it's impacting more people, right? It's not just me that needs that. It's happening because we need more money.
Thank you.
And our next question is for Sylvia. In your years leading centers, have you had teachers who struggled to afford childcare for their own children? And what did that mean for them and for your program?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's actually sad to me just because if you imagine, a wonderful educator coming to a center where she sees other children receiving high quality care, yet her own child is at home with maybe a loving relative, maybe a grandmother, could be an aunt, but it's not the same. I can only imagine how that teacher can feel. And we do, there's that that whole saying, happy wife, happy life, right? So we do want our teachers, sorry, that's probably a bad, but we want our teachers to be mentally and physically, we just want them to be well and wholly present. It's never going to be perfect, but I've seen the struggle when their caregiver is ill and they can't be at work. Then it's like, what am I going to do? And then the classroom we have to fill in with substitutes, so it impacts the continuity for the children at the center. And then when the child is kind of getting better and the teacher needs to come to work, she's kind of half there, but half with her child, at home with grandma because is he okay? I need to check on. So it's not okay. And eventually, I've had teachers have to leave just because it begins to impact work and it's not fair. Um, and I've seen the opposite, where teachers are able to, like Joanna was sharing her story about bringing her children to her work. How amazing is that? That's a beautiful thing to be able to do. You kiss your little one goodbye and you turn around and you can start your job and you know that, hey, he's over here and doing great with the fours and fives. I mean, that's incredible. And every educator should have that experience and not have to be a burden. Like their educators aren't even making that much money to begin with, but then to ask them to dip into that limited resource to pay for the childcare in the classroom where they're the teacher, I just don't feel like it's not right. It's not right, and it's definitely not helpful for trying to retain people, and most definitely for trying to facilitate an environment where teachers are fully present and they're happy. We want our teachers to be happy. It's hard. It's hard work. Post-COVID, even I'd say maybe a bit more. And so we want our teachers to feel good about coming to work. And so having them be able to come to work free, not having to worry about, having that tuition be paid for them and not have to cut somewhere here, somewhere there, or altogether not having their child in the program is amazing. And that should be in place for all early care and educators. I hope I'm saying that correctly. I just want to say child care teachers because all of them, that should be a no-brainer, and that it should be a benefits across the board. And the county should help supplement that because centers are struggling.
Thank you, Sylvia.
So our last question for the panel, Karen. So you talked about how you've dedicated your career to early childhood education while raising 4 young children yourself. What challenges have you faced along the way in trying to support and find affordable, reliable care for your own family?
So balancing my career in early childhood education while raising 4 young children truly gives me firsthand insight into the challenges that many families face when seeking childcare. One of the biggest barriers has been finding affordable programs that offer high quality and reliable care, because I don't just want to take my most precious treasure anywhere. I want to make sure that wherever I would take them, they would receive high quality and reliable care. So even with background in early childhood education, I often encountered long wait lists, inconsistent schedules, and the raising cost has truly placed a significant strain in our family's budget.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you all for sharing your stories. We really appreciate it. I also want to send a special shout out to Spaces in Action, who helped us in preparing our educators to be able to share their stories this evening. So want to I've loved seeing all of the emojis and everything coming up. It means a lot to the Children's Opportunity Alliance to have all of you partners here tonight. We're gonna transition now. The county executive has joined us. So we are fortunate to have him with us tonight. So we're going to invite him to say a few words about why he believes it's essential to support the early care and education workforce. So County Executive Elrich, the floor is yours.
Can you hear me?
You're really far away. It's not very clear.
Talking to the microphone.
Okay, I'm talking into the microphone as best I can. Is that better?
That's a little bit better. Go ahead.
I'll mute mine.
So, first of all, I was a teacher for 17 years. and I taught at Rolling Terrace Elementary School, and one of the highest poverty schools in Montgomery County. And I learned really quickly that the preparation the kids had before they got to school just critically influenced what they were able to do when they were in school. And I believed and I saw that early childhood education is probably the most important thing that we can do to bring kids up to the level that when they enter kindergarten, they're on a level playing field with everybody else and they can keep pace. When the school system openly talks about kids entering kindergarten,
He froze,
Oh,
right?
he froze. Yep, he froze. Sorry, everybody. Let's wait 10 more seconds. Hopefully he'll unfreeze. Maybe not.
Maybe if he gets unfrozen, you can have him come back in, but we'll continue, Kimberly. It's a little hard to know
Yeah.
what here.
Nope, yeah, we can continue hopefully if he can get a better connection. Okay. So we're gonna transition. So we really want to hear from you all. And so I'm gonna turn it to my colleague Kimberly Pena Molina, and she's gonna share her screen. And we're gonna do a Menti poll just to gather feedback and thoughts from you all. So we want to gather some of your thoughts and reactions. We're going to use this Mentimeter poll. You can scan the QR code or you can click the link that is in the chat. So please take a moment to reflect on what you just heard from the educators. And we have the first question. What stayed with you? A moment, a phrase, or a feeling, and why do you think it mattered to you? So our word cloud is starting to generate. So some of the ones, affordability, dedication, passion. Okay. Commitment and compassion, pathways, passion for the field, love and dedication, heart, empathy, vulnerabilities. Okay. Great. Thank you all. Tiffany, I'll turn it to you and we can do another question.
Okay, the next question is, what did you hear tonight that points to not just to individual experience, but to patterns in the system that need attention or change? So if you could click on the link or answer the next question on your Menti poll. Okay, some of our answers are coming in. More benefits, teachers struggling for childcare for their own kids. Many educators are having the same experiences, need for sustainable funding, infrastructure, affordability, higher pay, more supports for educators, affordability, pay scale for educators, a real need for equity, compensation and benefits. There are a lot of low wages, lack of funding, no easy path for caregivers. Wow. Pay equity with MCPS. Focus on teachers' quality of life. Benefits in multiple languages. Benefits. underfunding, childcare has gotten more expensive, treat early child care professionals as treat early childhood providers as real professionals. Thank you for all your engagement and reflection.
Hey, great. Well, yes. So thank you all for that. We really appreciate it. So now we're going to turn to our panel. So next we want to invite up our council member panel onto this virtual stage. We're honored to be joined here by several council members. We've had other individuals join. We've got Council President Fanny Gonzalez, Council Member Ludke, Council Member Sales is here, as well as Council Member Jawando, Council Member Shebra Evans, Council Member Kate Stewart. We've got staff from Sydney Katz's office and Andrew Friedson's office. So thank you all for being here. We think it's really important for you all to hear how important this work is. So specifically tonight for our panel, we've invited 3 county council leaders to engage in this discussion. So we're joined by our council president, Natalie Fanny Gonzalez, the chair of our Education and Culture Committee, Councilmember Will Jawando, and the chair of our Health and Human Services Committee, Lorianne Sales. I think Lorianne Sales is at an event, so hopefully it'll be clear and we'll be able to hear from her. We'll go ahead and get everybody's spotlighted. So panelists, thank you for joining us tonight. So
I'm here,
I want to start.
Kimberly. I just cannot change my name, Sierra Gray.
Okay, we'll get our tech team to work on that.
Thank you.
So I'm gonna start at this question. Please take a moment to introduce yourself and then share any of the reflections you have on what you heard this evening. So I'll turn to you first, Council President Fanny Gonzalez.
Thank you so much, Kimberly, and to the entire family of Children's Opportunity Alliance. Again, my name is Natalie Fanny Gonzalez. I'm the Montgomery County Council President. And early childhood education is not a new theme for me. Some of you probably don't know this, but before I joined the county council, I had my own firm. And I had different clients across the nation. One of my clients was the Center for Community Change, and I did all their work on communications for their early childhood education campaign. And I did a lot of work in New Mexico and a lot of work in DC and a lot of work in many other places. So for me, it's just natural to take on this issue. I've been having pretty great meetings with Kimberly on this, and I look forward to follow-ups, especially on the policy statements that you guys put together. And I look forward to the county executive's upcoming budget that is going to be released on March 13, the operating budget. I wholeheartedly agree that early childhood education is the foundation for our children. And just to give you an example, especially after the pandemic, I have talked to MCPS elementary school teachers who have told me that they have children in their classes in kindergarten who don't know how to use a bathroom. They're not potty trained. That is alarming. And these are kids who have never gone through an early childhood education program. And that just gives you a red flag of how important it is to have this type of settings, to create this type of foundation, and also at the same time ensuring that we have more seats for more kids to join. That's key, and you guys talked about that. And also making sure that our early childhood educators have a living wage. This is a critical job, and they deserve to have benefits. They deserve to live with dignity. I was taking notes on some of your proposals, and the one that stuck with me was the allowed and prioritized early care and education professionals who work in licensed community-based locations to qualify for the Working Parents Assistance Program for their dependents. I think that's like it makes so much sense. I have 2 children. My kids were at the YMCA for early childhood education, and there's no way I could have worked without you guys in my life. And I think that early childhood educators who have children, they should have this benefit as part of their work. And I also the whole thing about allowing families that are on the state's childcare scholarship waitlist to use WPA until the state enrollment freezes is lifted. That's another critical one. So after this, because it will not end here, I look forward to follow-ups and how we can some of these issues that are at the state level and how we can ensure that we're working with our partners at the state level to open up seats. At the end of the day, it's not MCPS is competing with us. No, we are in all this together. It's the education umbrella, and it's part of the workforce. And we want to make sure that the worker gets paid, and then the child gets the support, and that the parents are happy. Because when I left my kids in early childhood education programs, I was very happy. I love my kids. I don't know how you guys do this. I have two. There's no way I can have more. I heard teachers saying that they have 4 and 5 kids. Bless you. So I'm ready to work with you, and I know that my colleagues are also passionate about this issue, and we all want to do the right thing. I know the county executive got cut off, but I know his heart is in a good place, and he and I have talked about this issue for many years, and we just need to continue evolving as a county to ensure that we treat childhood education program as part of the education we give to our kids. And I'm just keeping it short. That's it. Thank you.
Yeah. No, thank you very much, Council President. And I think that's a good segue or point of transition to Councilmember Jawando as the chair of the Education and Culture Committee. So do you want to introduce yourself and share your reflections on what you heard tonight?
Sure. Thank you. Thank you, Kim. And thank you to everyone who's spoken before, Umera, Deborah, Joanna, Sylvia, Karen, especially to the whole COA board. And never apologize for being passionate about our babies. My council colleagues will tell you, I cry about once a month up on the dais. So because we just care. We care about what we're trying to do. So thank you. Yeah, I'm Will Jawando. I'm the chair of the Education and Culture Committee. I'm the father of 4 children, and who all were in early childhood settings. And my 3 daughters, who are now 15, 13, and 12, at one time were 3, 2, and 1. And our son is 7 now. But I know firsthand like how tough it is to try to pull together the money. And for much of that time, we were spending way more on childcare than on housing. It's a huge issue. And that's with 2 working parents, I was at the federal government most of that time, and it's really, really difficult. One of my proudest moments was working with the previous council and with Councilwoman Nancy Navarro and County Executive Elrich when we launched this whole effort to try to start making robust investments into early child care and education. We still have much more work to do. And it's insane to me that as a country, we haven't figured this out yet. The good news is I think more people are figuring it out, that we have to invest in our youngest children. It's not only the right thing to do. 90% of brain development happens before kids are 5, 90%. It's just like, why would you not do that? And then it's also the right economic thing to do. You want to unlock the workforce and provide high quality childcare and pay people who are doing it well. There will be no bigger boon to our economy by the people re-entering the workforce and those who are keeping that money in the community. States are doing it. You're seeing states across the country. You're seeing New York make an investment. Our neighbors in DC made an investment several years ago to expand. We have to be on the tip of that spear here in Montgomery County. But we're going to have to pay for it. And it will pay for it itself many, 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 many times over. But we're going to have to invest in it. So that's what sticks out to me when I hear educators crying because they don't know if they're going to be able to do what they love and take care of our kids because they can't afford to meet ends meet. It makes me upset. It makes me sad, but also more resolved because we know this is an issue. It's not right. It's not a race to the bottom. MCPS good. We should be paying people more, and private providers, we should be supporting them so they can pay people more. We're always going to have a braided system in Montgomery County. And so we have to figure out a way to support both the public and nonprofit and private systems. And so we're going to have, last thing I'll say is we're going to have you have all three of the chairs here today of economic development, HHS, and education. And we're going to have a follow-up triple committee on the workforce study that was done and led by our great team between HHS and COA to talk about this issue and put concrete things in place. I agree with Council President that providing subsidies for parents who work in childcare is a no-brainer. We should be doing that. We should be expanding eligibility. And so I'm excited to work with the county executive and with you all to implement some of these investments in the near term. So thank you, and look forward to the conversation.
Great. Thank you so much. So then Councilmember Sales, I'll turn to you. And then once we hear from you, we'll turn to the audience conversation.
All right. Good evening, everyone. You see how closely I work with our county executive and my council colleagues. We're both at the same event, crowded in this office space because we both wanted to be here to hear from our parents, our early childhood educators, and the work that COA is so important to ensuring that we have a cohesive early childhood education ecosystem. And so kudos to you for always bringing the stakeholders together, giving them a platform. Regardless of the weather, we want to make sure that we have this opportunity right before the budget comes out to make sure that the decisions that we make center the folks closest to the challenges. And, as my colleague said, closest to our babies. I don't have any more kids in MCPS, but I do know what it means to be a single mom and struggle to afford quality early childhood education. I benefited from the scholarship program, and so when I heard that, the state had to put a hold on it, the most expensive, price tag we have in this state is educating our students, public safety, and those competing demands are putting a strain on everyone. But we know, I'm the daughter of immigrants, the youngest of 6 children, so I know a lot about, trying to balance a checkbook and, trying to make a way for a big family and doing more with less. That's what my parents had to do, and I think that's why I was, so successful. But I know that when we moved to Montgomery County, it was hard to find before and after care. So to have small business owners on this call as a part of this ecosystem, being able to share their experience and provide, that incredible resource to their own family, it goes a long way. I do not know how parents are doing it, but our school systems, they are feeling the strain of the lack of early childhood education and having to ensure that, students are reading on a 4th grade level. By 3rd grade, they are testing and tracking our students. And if they are not performing at a certain level, your students will be tracked to have poor outcomes. And that will determine the long-term opportunities that they'll have when they reach middle school and well into the college years and careers that they take on. And so I know that there's quite a few challenges that, we have to contend with at the state with regards to the certifications that we want to ensure our educators have. A lot of jobs are, paying and training on the job and preparing their workers. We are increasing opportunities for our students to graduate college and career ready with certifications. I know when I was in school, we had an early childhood education program, so you could get most of your hours and take your test before you graduate from high school. And at, Gaithersburg High School, they have that program. I'm working with the county executive to expand access to career and technical education programs. I know that if we didn't have that sort of program at our high school, it would be hard for a lot of teen moms to finish school and to actually find a job when they graduate. So there are so many different pathways, and early childhood education is so important to our community. I was just listening to the new mayor in New York, and they're already trying to propose universal pre-K. We've been talking about it for years. I see my good friend and former colleague, Agnes. She is still in the fight, so you have some good ones. You have the former chair of the Community Action Board, small business entrepreneur, who has been a fierce advocate. So the Community Action Board is truly growing our advocacy around this issue. And I just want to thank all the moms and educators for sharing their stories as well. It's not easy, but you have some great folks on the call with you who are fighting to make this path and journey easier. So I'll stop there. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much for your comments. So Tiffany, I'll turn it to you to lead us into the audience conversation.
Thanks, Kimberly. We have such a great audience here tonight in this virtual space. We have over 120 people here, which is so amazing. I know there are many more educators here who want to add their stories into the mix, and also other stakeholders here that want to add their thoughts and comments as well as questions. The way we're going to work this is everyone is going to be able to raise their hand, their virtual hand. On the bottom of your control panel, you can click the heart icon that says react and select raise hand from the pop-up menu. In the order the hands were raised, our tech team will invite you to unmute. And once you accept, you can share your input. We ask that you keep your comments or questions to a minute or so that we have space for all participants who want to be included. If you prefer not to speak, you can also enter your question or your comment into the chat, and we'll read it aloud on your behalf. You can also submit your comments in Spanish, and we will have our interpreters interpret it for the room so we all can understand the question. So what questions, comments, or stories do you have for our policymakers about what you've heard tonight? We already have some questions. So the first question is for our elected officials. What do you see as the role of county government in recognizing and advancing the ECE workforce?
I think number one is besides continuing the work that we are doing with you guys, because I think that's the number one thing, ensuring that any policy change and any budget proposal is alongside with your expertise. I think doing exactly what you're doing, making recommendations and us taking on them and actually moving them forward is critical. And on the funding one, I look forward to the county executive to release his budget in March to ensure that we can do as much as possible to fund the efforts that we're talking about here today. Will or Lorianne?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. We have a big role. We played a big role up until this point, as far as the setting up the legislation that we just redesignated COE or COA, excuse me. And as the early childhood entity, we've made increased investments, but there's more to do. As I said, the various components like workforce, which we're talking about now, this is forever since this field has been around. This has been a challenge. We have to step up. I think you all, in the letter you sent us on January 9th, come up with some very strong recommendations. You also gave us some options, as we mentioned, expanding eligibility, for professionals to qualify for the Working Parents Assistance Program for their dependents. We have to do that. Raising some of the income eligibility requirements, another one that you've recommended. But again, I just really want to, the resources to do some of these things are going to always be the challenge. And so, in New Mexico, they're funding their system by taxing oil and gas, right? In New York, they're gonna use state and federal braided funding and raise taxes on billionaires and very wealthy people. Like, look, we've got to. This isn't going to happen. It doesn't come out of thin air. We're going to have to make an investment, and I just think we can't run away from that. So we need. Otherwise, we'll just keep taking small steps forward and backwards. So the elected officials, we have to help lead that conversation with you, and tell the public why it's such a benefit for us. And I think this is a big part of it, what you're doing tonight. So we need you to help us make that case.
And I will, just an additive, being on this town hall, it's great to see such an incredible turnout. As Council President Fanny Gonzalez mentioned, in March, when the county executive releases his budget, I'm hoping to see a majority of the residents that are here signed up to testify. We have a $7.5 billion budget. Half of it goes to our school system. It's an election year. You won't get anyone on this council that I can think of that wants to raise taxes. The governor has over $1 billion deficit. We have a federal government that has decimated the Department of Education, who doesn't value education. So we are really on our own in Montgomery County. And so it is going to be incredibly challenging to get through this budget season. We can't even feed our seniors in this community. And so we are, trust me, we are trying to stretch every dollar, and, we're not even sure what's going to come across the street to us. And so I'm keeping an open mind. I am thinking creatively, because we are all having to think creatively with the limited resources that we have. And I am glad that COA is working closely with HHS. The conversation, I feel like tonight is just the start of the conversation. And once we have more concrete numbers, we can see what we are able to do and how we can phase it into later years.
Thank you all for those comments. So we've got two people who have their hands raised. So we're going to ask Scott Mitchell if you want to unmute and share your comments or ask your question.
Great, thank you. Hopefully I'm correctly unmuted. I'm Scott Mitchell. I'm the president of the Potomac Association of Cooperative Teachers, also the director and 4-year-old lead teacher at Silver Spring Cooperative Nursery School, which was founded in 1941 by a group of parents in the Silver Spring League of Women's Voters. We're a part-time school that serves a vital role for parents who desire and are able to be a part of their children's early childhood school experience, working alongside the professional staff. This unique structure has me work alongside the caregivers of our students as we try to set tuition at affordable levels for the families while providing a wage that the staff deserve. It's impossible. If it weren't for the sacrifices that the staff, like Joanna, are willing to make, our school and many others wouldn't exist. And though I'd like to share more about our school, I feel compelled to speak a little bit about the field in more broad terms. While all of the legislative efforts of recent to help stabilize the system are very much appreciated, they're lacking, in my opinion, a couple key factors. The current workforce, primarily women and women of color, is owed reparations. Society has been benefiting from their underpaid work for too long. This workforce has done an amazing job caring for society's children in the most critical years of their lives, and they are tired, they're stressed, and many are lacking the energy to jump through all of the new hurdles that we're putting in front of them to be considered quality care and deserving of that financial support. And while sensible regulations are certainly necessary, over-regulations get in the way of the workforce being able to practice the art of childcare and reduces the bandwidth that these caregivers have and the love that it takes to do what they're doing. We need to make parent choice a priority, not a buzzword. The needs of the individual child and family can be wildly different, and early childhood educators and programs need latitude and autonomy to develop ways of meeting these needs that box curriculums and minimum hours do not provide. The kids need to play, the parents need choice, and they need support and rest. I'll wrap up by saying it's astounding what so many dedicated educators have done with so little for so long. We've got to give them what they need and deserve now. Don't let the inclination to hold the purse strings so tight as to eliminate any perception of misdirected funds cause you to choke the life out of a workforce and community that we desperately need to flourish. I really thank all of the representatives who are here tonight to listen to what we need, and I know you'll do your best to set things straight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kimberly, you're muted.
Yep, sorry. Thank you, Scott. So we'll turn to the next raised hand. Deca Bare. Can you unmute?
Okay. Yeah. Hi, good evening, everyone. Yeah, I have just two quick comments to make. I am an educator, caregiver, what do you call? I work for childcare, large family childcare. I myself opened my first childcare 1997. My daughter actually now she's 27 years old. When I left childcare, just for the purpose, I love the job, and it was so hard to turn away the family and for them to find another caregiver, because my husband was self-employed and we needed insurance, health insurance. So I was able to find a job which offers health insurance. I closed my daycare, and I for that reason. And now after I raised the children and went back to school for special education, but life hits you again. And before I was able to finish my teacher degree, I had to go back to working as a childcare teacher. It's still the same issue I face, like the financial. You can't sustain yourself with this low income that you're making. Health insurance is not because the center cannot afford to give you health insurance. My other issue I see is we have a family. They're not low income to actually qualify some of the income. They had a third child. They had to make this hard choice and stop coming to our center because they cannot afford 3 children. And I can really see they had to go lower non-licensed daycare. And I could actually see the impact that children will happen to them, because when I was Montgomery College, I had to do observation, and I see the difference of the kindergarten, the children who went to high quality licensed childcare, and the children who just came from either mom who's really busy, who's working maybe 2 jobs, or they went to non-licensed childcare. It's you can see the difference. The children cannot even hold the pencil right. They cannot color. So the county, I love Montgomery County. My children went to Montgomery County. They went to University of Maryland. So I love, but we need some kind of help from the county executive and the state, the whole state, to help the family and us as those people who love working. Now I have to decide. I love the children, but I have to make it part-time because I can't, just the income is not enough. Thank you so much for your.
Thank you, Deca, for sharing your story and your perspective. As you see in the chat, a lot of what you're saying resonates about the needs of the educators in our early care and education community. So we've got one more hand raised. We're probably going to try to end this around 8:10, the conversation, because we've got a call to action to get to after that. But I know there are a bunch of other questions in the chat, so thank you all for putting those there. we'll gather them together and figure out getting responses from council members after this. But so
And
Annabella, we'll turn it to you. And then I see Kenya's got her hand, so we'll take those last two. And then, yeah, so Annabella, if you want to unmute.
Thank you, Kimberly. Thanks everybody for being here. This is an amazing event. I wish I would have been in person, but hey, what are we going to do? Nature did a number on us this week. But here we are. I came from the corporate world when I started having my children, because same thing, I could not afford childcare. And it was like, what do I do? So left my corporate world. I came to do this, and I fell in love with early childhood. This is where I want to stay for the rest of my life. But at this point, in 23 years that I've been doing early childhood education, I've never seen this issue with children having to stay home because parents cannot access the scholarship, either the state scholarship or WPA. And I started with a family for 8 children, and I went to 12 children because I wanted those 4 spaces for the children that needed me most, which was my community. Children that stay with abuela, with tia, with, watching TV all day long, because I volunteer in kindergarten and I saw the difference. Children could not even detach from their parents. They were crying all day long because they have never left abuela or tia or auntie, and didn't know how to hold a pencil, didn't know how to go to the bathroom. So this was one of the things that I wanted to do. I'm going to go from 8 to 12 so that I can leave those 4 spaces for children with a scholarship, for children that can't afford it. I'll just, eat the cost, whatever, but I wanted to help my community. And it's been great up to this point, where now I have gone always from having a wait list from 12 children, full enrollment, to 7. This is now messing with my affordability of paying for my house, for everything. And I don't want to close mi escuelita. I don't want to close mi escuelita. So I'm going to hang in there, hoping and crossing my fingers that people that have the power there to say, hey, we need more money, open the scholarship, the CCS, give us WPA back. Even though WPA pays us 5 weeks later, it is still, the money is coming. It's not ideal for us because we cannot tell our electricity, our grocery store, I'll pay you in 5 weeks. No. We got to pay right there. But I want to help my community. So I will wait for 5 weeks for WPA, but we need that to reopen. We need CCS to come back. We haven't heard anything about it. We have to tell families, sorry, you have to apply for the scholarship. I'm still saving those spots, but I can only hold on for so long because it's, messing with my budget. I can't afford to be 4 or 5 spots down. So please, if any of you can, push this through, CCS needs to be open. WPA needs to be, up and running. These families need this help. And us as educators also need this to go through or to come back. So as a family, as an educator, I'm asking, please, if any of you can do something about it. I don't want to close my childcare. I'm here until, whenever my energy is out, which, as you can tell, my energy is here still. And I'm here. I will be here for another 20 years if I have to. But we need those things to come back. Please. Thank you so much. I'm an educator. I'm some type of leader for the Latino Child Care Association. I'm a mentor. I will help it anyway. Just call me and I'll be here. And Mrs. President, thank you for reading to my children last year.
Yes, yeah. You were
Gracias.
Yeah, I had a great time. Thank you for having me.
Well, so one more hand raised, Kenya, and then we need to transition to the next part of the agenda. So Kenya, it's up to you to take us home.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much. My name is Kenya Reynoso, and it's an honor to be here. And you listen me. And just briefly, I just want to say I have my family child care since 8 years ago. and I'm passionate educator, and I agree with everything Annabella say about we need that support, we need that help, because that make the difference. The families really need support, and we cannot do nothing else. Just trying to find ways to support the economy for the families. And I also want to mention I'm the vice president of Family Child Care Association of Montgomery County, and we have some members who looking for expand this business. So we're looking to support in our places or areas we can increase the capacity of seats. See, anyone can helping us in any way to create that movement is gonna be a big challenge, because that way we can create more seats for the child. Thank you.
Thank you, Kenya. Well, thank you all so much to our council member and council president panelists, to the other council members here listening to all of this. We really appreciate all the educators and people on this call this evening. We've had such incredible participation and conversation and emotions and vulnerability, and it just feels very heartwarming to be here this evening. So thank you all for everything that you've shared. It's time for us to transition to a few key messages related to our bold call to action to wrap up the evening. So first, we want to honor that we have already a great set of supports in place in our community on which we can build. And there has already been a great amount of intention and research done to better understand the issues and to plan for possible solutions. Montgomery County is not unique in its experiences of these challenges facing the early care and education workforce. Indeed, this is a national issue, and there are examples of other jurisdictions across the country that are innovating. There is momentum at the state level to make changes that support the workforce, and there is an opportunity for Montgomery County to lead the way and show the state how successful new efforts can be. It's also important to elevate that this great momentum and intentionality around early care and education at the county and state has led to, over the last 6 months, there have been different recommendation and report memos that have come forward from various community partners. This gives us great leverage for us to build on as we drive the work forward. So with the county HHS, they just released the workforce compensation report and held public webinars to share the data and recommendations to stakeholders, with Montgomery moving forward, driving their call to action regarding state level strategies. And with another partner, the Commission on Child Care, who just released their final report on the workforce after years of studying and listening. And if we were in person, we would be giving you all copies to these reports to share with you so that you can take them home and read them. But instead, we'd like to offer you electronic copies for you to dive into and review. So we'll send those 3 reports and include them in the link in the chat right now. So go ahead, Tiffany.
There's no shortage of good ideas, and there's no shortage of actions that we can take. Each idea and action, when coordinated, builds together to create a comprehensive system reform that we all need and seek. We are so grateful that members of all of these bodies are here tonight to hear these stories and stand united. Each of our organizations leads a different piece of the puzzle, but we share a common understanding. The early childhood system only works when the workforce is supported, and no single initiative can do that all alone. Coordination matters, alignment matters, and tonight we're here together because we believe that collective action is the only way we build a system that truly works for children and the adults who care for them. We want to be clear about several truths. There's no high-quality early childhood system without a strong, stable workforce. No one organization can solve this on its own, but together we can move the system forward. Progress is needed both at the state and county levels, and Montgomery County has the opportunity to innovate and lead the way. Supporting early childhood educators must be baked into how our systems operate, not treated as an exception or a temporary fix. All systems and leaders must take on a mindset shift to recognize the valuable role early childhood educators play in our community. With the input and support of our community, we are aligned around a shared vision for the ECE workforce. A workforce that is fully prepared, retained, and equitably compensated. This means educators have the training and credentials that they need. It means that they can afford to stay in the field that they love, like we heard many, many times. And it means that their compensation reflects the responsibility and impact of their work. Recruitment, retention, and preparation and compensation are deeply connected, and they require coordinated strategies at both the county and state levels across multiple partners and entities. We know transformation doesn't happen overnight. What it requires is a roadmap and commitment to incremental progress. Each step we take builds towards a stronger system.
So we also need to be clear that the rising number of vacant seats that have been talked about today are threatening the sustainability of the businesses in which our educators are operating or the businesses that they own. The compounding issues of the state's childcare scholarship enrollment freeze and increasing numbers of families who cannot afford childcare due to changes in employment and the local economy are making the issues worse. Currently, we are only serving 1/3 of income-eligible children across our complicated patchwork of tuition subsidy programs, which include pre-K, EquiCare, Head Start, childcare scholarships, and our local working parents assistance. There are so many more children and families who want care but cannot afford it. Tonight, we are making a set of recommendations to help support the continued transformation and evolution of our county's early care and education system. We recommend Montgomery County strengthen the Local Working Parents Assistance Program, or WPA, so it better supports early childhood educators and families who are currently falling through the cracks. Specifically, we are recommending 3 eligibility changes. First, include all early childhood educators working in licensed childcare programs, regardless of family income. We believe educators are essential workers, and access to childcare should not be a barrier to staying in the field. Secondly, we would like to serve children who are eligible for the Maryland Child State Scholarship Program, but are currently on the wait list due to the enrollment freeze. These families have already been deemed eligible. They simply aren't being served because of the state level freeze. And third, we recommend to expand the maximum income limit to the self-sufficiency standard, which is measured and defined locally to determine how much income a family of a certain composition in a given place needs to adequately meet their basic needs without public or private assistance. This is a locally created metric, and it measures affordability for families. Our intent is support families that are experiencing the affordability crisis and fund pathways for more families to access childcare and help their families to thrive in our community. To make these changes meaningful, we also need the resources to support them. That's why we are also recommending an increased investment of $16 million in fiscal year 27, alongside these eligibility updates to allow Working Parents Assistance, or WPA, to serve an additional 1,000 children. This investment directly supports workforce retention, family economic stability, and the overall health of Montgomery County's early childhood system. This is not just a childcare issue. It's a workforce issue, it's an economic issue, and it's a systems issue.
Behind these recommendations stand many hardworking educators. If we were in person, we'd be asking them to stand in support now, but in this virtual space, I like to ask you to come off camera if you're not already and share a reaction or a comment in the chat. If you're a member of the following organizations: Family Child Care Association of Montgomery County, Latino Child Care Association of Maryland, Maryland Association for the Education of Young Children, Maryland State Child Care Association, the Montgomery County chapter, the Organization of Child Care Center Directors, and the Potomac Area Cooperative Teachers Association. Look at all those reactions. We want to be clear, this is long-term work. There's no single budget year that solves everything, but long-term transformation requires us to start now with intentional, aligned steps that move us closer to our shared vision. By coordinating across initiatives, aligning policy goals, and investing in proven strategies, Montgomery County can continue to lead and show what it looks like to truly support early educators in the early childhood workforce.
So we hope that you are all feeling inspired and motivated by what you've heard this evening. We've developed a sign-on letter, and we will put information in the chat about how you as an individual or an organization that you are a part of can sign on to being in alignment with these systems change recommendations we are advocating for in fiscal year 27. Also, before we go, and we're doing pretty well on time, I'm impressed with us. Before we go, we also aim to be a learning organization. So we're going to drop an event feedback survey in the chat. This was our first time running an event like this. And while it wasn't what we had pictured due to the snowstorm, we want to know how we did. So please click the survey link that's in the chat and offer us your thoughts. I just want to say, as I said, we were hoping to be in person, but this really turned out to be a great event. Thank you so much to the storytellers. Thank you so much to our local elected officials, the county executive, council president, and all the council members who are here. Thank you to the educators and the other stakeholders who are on this Zoom conversation with us. I feel inspired and motivated, and I hope you all do too. So thank you, stay warm, and we'll see you around the Montgomery County. Thanks, everybody.